It's fair to say that we have been looking forward to driving this vehicle behind me for quite some time. This is the new Hyundai Staria, and while the styling looks incredibly modern and it's very forward thinking, we keep getting all these 80s connotations coming up. People tell us that they reckon it looks like RoboCop. Let us know what you think if you agree with that. However, we've been looking forward to driving it because at Drive we spend a lot of time telling people who are looking at three-row SUVs that they should really be buying a people mover. The counter argument that you get to that is that they look boring, they look old, they look like something that your grandparents would drive. Well, you can't argue that about this. This is a very forward-thinking, modern design. Personally, I think it looks fantastic and everybody's been looking at it out on the road. Also, it's on an all-new platform, which means that there's a hell of a lot of promise in the way that it's going to drive, because this should be a lot more car-like and a lot less bus or van-like, even though it is a big van. Can't wait to take a closer look at it. We're going to have a look inside, see what the cabin's like, and then we're going to hit the road. The Staria range starts from $48,500 for the petrol. Then you step up through diesel for $51,500, Elite petrol from $56,500, before you get to the range-topping Highlander petrol from $63,500 and the Highlander diesel from $66,500. Those prices are all before on-road costs. Our test Highlander steps the standard equipment game up from the already well-equipped base model with plenty of premium features. They include a 10.25-inch digital instrument cluster, a dual-pane power sunroof, heated and ventilated front seats, heated steering wheel, blind spot monitor with live view in the instrument cluster, LED room and map lights, and the choice of beige or blue optional interior trim. There's obviously a lot of focus with people movers on the seats that are back there in the second and third row, but for those of you who do the driving, focus is up here in the front. First of all, and we'll talk more about this when we're out on the road, the visibility, seating position is fantastic and you can really see out. Big tall windows, it makes a big difference. Secondly, let's have a quick look at storage, because up front here it is everywhere. You've got two bins up on top of the dashboard, big glove box over there, wireless phone charging, retractable cup holder beneath that, which works well, another shelf for smartphones probably, and then beneath that, where the switch gear is and the inputs for the power, you've got another storage bin that you can use for wallets, keys, things like that. Then you move over to the doors. You've got 3 tiers basically of shelving that you can use in the doors, with big pockets down the bottom that are useful for bottles. So once again, that's an important factor. And then this huge center console bin as well, where you've got a retractable lid and you can actually remove the cup holder out of it. You'd fit probably, I reckon, a medium-sized lady's handbag in there if you wanted to keep it out of sight. On that subject, if mum's driving and she's got to throw a handbag in, she can put it here in the flat floor and keep it up off the seat and out of the way, so that works well. The controls and the switch gear, I reckon, need to come in for mention as well. Steering wheel controls are really easy. They're not overdone. There's not too many of them. Very easy to work out what does what. Same with the controls through here for all of the audio system, heated and cooled seats, cameras, and then the climate control. That's really easy to understand as well. And then lastly, the other feature that I think is important for the driver is the screens. They're big screens, there's 2 of them, they're positioned beautifully. The interactive driver's display is sitting there not like an afterthought. It looks to me like it's been positioned there deliberately, because it's right in your line of sight and it's easy to understand what they're telling you and the speed you're doing. And then the infotainment screen over here, responsive to touch inputs, works really well with the smartphone connectivity. Bluetooth does as well, of course, but we use smartphone connectivity, works brilliantly. And it's a really easy system to understand. And I think if you're stepping into this car, looking at it from the outside, thinking, how futuristic is it? Will I be able to work this car out? You take a seat, get yourself in position, set your mirrors up, and you're away. It's a really easy vehicle to get set up in, and then easy to drive as well. Let's take a look at the second row. You look at the Staria from the outside and you assume that there's going to be plenty of room on the inside, and the good news is that is exactly the case. There is an incredible amount of room back here and it feels very airy and spacey. The roof is a long way from your head. Again, like the front, the windows are huge. They're quite deep, so it feels very airy. You don't feel like the walls are closing in on you. That's my driving position there, and I've got plenty of room. I don't think I've even slid this seat as far back as it'll go. On the subject of the seat, it's also comfortable. It's not like just sitting on a park bench. It's pretty comfortable. It's a 2/3, 1/3 split, so you can move them around to get in and out of the third row, which we'll have a look at in a second. And then there's also some really clever stuff back here. Once again, bottle holders in the doors. I love these blinds. I think they're fantastic in a climate like Australia, where the sun is as deadly as it is and you're likely to have little kids in the back seat. And even for adults, if you're sitting here on a long drive and the sun's coming in that window, this makes a huge difference. You've got takeaway bag hooks. You've also got pretty useful pockets on the back of the seats. And I like the fact there's a separate mobile phone pocket in there, so you can slide your smartphone in, you know exactly where it is, and it's safe. I really like these retractable cup holders here, because if you've got 3 across the back row and you don't need them, you can push them in, get them out of the way of people's feet. You've also got another storage bin under here as well for smaller devices, 2 USB charge ports, and of course the doors are electric, so they retract with just the touch of a button. I like the fact that back in this row you get your own air conditioning controls, so not just fan speed but temperature and also where you direct it, and you've got venting across the roof as well, so it can cool or heat the cabin really quickly. Plus this retractable sunroof cover here I think makes a huge difference, because for the kids, if they're back here on a long drive, you can open that up, they can see the sky, lets a lot of light in. But in short, regardless of how tall the people are in the front row, you've got heaps of room and it's pretty comfortable in the second row. We've got the 2/3 seat back folded down just so you can see in here, and I've jumped in behind this 1/3 that I folded forward. Now, that's where the seat was when I was talking to you from the second row, and once again, I've got plenty of knee room here and I'm not uncomfortable. Starting from the top and working down, you've got grab rails to get in and out. You've got air conditioning vents that once again heat and cool the cabin back here. You've got a USB port, which is handy. You've got cup and bottle holders and a storage bin as well. As I said in the second row, I love these curtains, and having them in the third row is a little bit of a luxury, but it's a clever inclusion by Hyundai, because once again, these are big windows, so the ability to keep the sun out with a retractable blind like this is a big deal. You also get the benefit of that sunroof opening into the third row and lightening the cabin up and giving you plenty of visibility upward and outward. But in short, with this seat as far back as it will go and that second row where I was sitting before, there's still an incredible amount of room back here, and it's going to be very, very practical for families who use this third row regularly. Beyond cabin space and comfort, the other area where SUVs really fall down when it comes to a people mover if you're using the third row regularly is luggage space, and the Hyundai Staria, well, it's got that nailed. Behind this third row, even with them all in play and all in use, you could easily fit probably 4 full-size suitcases across that space. There's room for golf clubs, tennis bags. You could put a whole bunch of stuff back there if you're going away on a family road trip and you've got 4 kids in tow. You'd fit all your stuff back there, and that's something that you can't do with most of the 3-row SUVs, and it's another reason why people movers like the Staria are so versatile. 2 engines are available across the Staria range, a 3.5 litre naturally aspirated petrol V6 and a 2.2 litre turbo diesel 4-cylinder. The V6 makes 200 kilowatts and 331 newton metres and sends power to the front wheels. The claimed ADR fuel figure is 10.5 litres per 100 kilometres. We've got the diesel engine on test, which makes 130 kilowatts and 430 newton metres. The claimed fuel use is 8.2 litres per 100 kilometres, and the diesel variant can tow up to 2,500 kilograms with electric brakes. Both engines work with an 8-speed automatic transmission. The Staria that we're testing right now is the top spec turbo diesel variant. So it's all-wheel drive, and it does have a diesel engine and a conventional automatic transmission. And in short, it's a pretty good thing to drive. It's quite smooth. The engine and gearbox seem really well matched to each other, and the gearbox doesn't do anything silly. The fact that you operate the gear shift with buttons here is really easy to work out as well, and it's not a problem when you're doing 3-point turns. But the general driving experience of the Staria is pretty good. This doesn't have the local Australian suspension tune, so the steering and the ride specifically is probably not as good or as accomplished as it would be if it did have that tune, because the engineers that do that work here really know what they're doing, and Hyundai product is particularly good because of it. So this might be even better if it did have that tune, but that's not to say that what you do get is bad. It's probably not quite as efficient as we thought it might be. It's been averaging somewhere between 9.5 and 10 litres per 100 for us on test, and we thought it might drop a little bit lower than that, but that might come as you run it in. It's only got 2,000 kilometres on it, this one we're driving, so as you run it in, that might get a little better. But in short, manoeuvring this around on the road, the way that it behaves, the fact that you're up high and the visibility is great, makes it a really easy vehicle to drive even on longer road trips, because it's not fatiguing. You don't feel like you're sitting in a black hole somewhere. There's a lot of visibility, a lot of light that comes into the cabin, and it's a really comfortable, effortless thing to drive. We've sat as well in the second and third rows while someone else is driving, and it's good back there too. So you're not going to get stuck in that third row and feel like you're on an uncomfortable bench for a few hours if your family's taking a country road trip. So I really think Hyundai's done a good job of executing something that does feel a little bit more car-like in the cabin than bus or van-like, even if it's not quite as car-like as the Kia Carnival. One of the cool features of the Staria that we really like is this rear camera system, because it means you don't have to use the mirror to monitor what the kids are doing in the second and third row. So all you have to do is activate the camera here on the screen, and then you can see an image of what's happening back there, just like I can now. No, we're still not there yet, and I don't care if you forgot your charging cable, because it's not my problem. Now, one thing is important, we haven't loaded the Staria up as we normally would. So regularly we'd get the whole drive team in here, get every seat full, and then go on a drive to see what it's like in the second and third row on the move. We haven't done that at the moment, obviously, because of the whole COVID thing. But given that it's so comfortable static, we assume it's going to be pretty good back there. And I think the key element that continues into the second and third row is the amount of light and space that you have inside the cabin. So you're not going to feel like you're squashed into a black hole. Packed with standard safety kit, the Staria is well equipped to carry the family securely. There's a standard suite of SmartSense active safety inclusions, with 7 airbags as standard across the range. That includes the front centre side airbag. There's plenty of electronic safety as well, so bear with us because the list is long. There's blind spot monitoring, intelligent speed limit assist, lane follow assist, multi-collision braking system, forward collision avoidance assist with junction turning, driver attention warning, smart cruise control, lane keeping assist, rear cross traffic alert avoidance, and a surround view monitor. Elite and Highlander also get safe exit assist, a 3D surround view monitor, and a blind spot view monitor as well. Standard service pricing is pretty sharp as well, with coverage for both engines up to 75,000 kilometres and services due every 15,000 kilometres or 12 months. For both petrol and diesel engines, that equates to $1,800 over the first 5 years. I reckon the most exciting thing about this new Hyundai Staria is the fact that we now have some genuine comparisons in the people mover segment. We've got our current segment favourite, the Kia Carnival, fantastic people mover and still the best in class at this point. We've got Toyota Grandvia, and now we've got Hyundai Staria, so we can start mixing and matching and comparing them together. What we'd also like to see is some argument from you guys in the comments section if you don't like people movers, why you don't, and let's try to have I guess an intelligent discussion rather than just I hate them, I hate what they look like. I'd like to know why it is that you go and look at an SUV, a 3-row SUV, rather than buy a people mover. In short though, I'm a big fan of this Hyundai Staria. I reckon it's a great execution. I do like the styling. I know it's a little bit edgy for some people, but I think it really works and it stands out on the road. And if you're looking at buying a people mover that you don't want it to be boring and you want it to make an impact, this is probably the best example of that. As always, let us know what you think of the Staria in general in the comments section below. Don't forget to hit like if you've enjoyed the video and click subscribe so you can stay up to date with all of our latest content. And as always, the full Hyundai Staria review is at Drive.com.au.